You know, for weeks, Metro Schools insiders have told stories about students being cheated by the district's own testing policies.
Tonight, for the first time, you will meet one of those students. And the story she tells raises even more questions about whether some struggling schools put scores above students. Our chief investigative reporter, Phil Williams, first exposed this controversy.
You know, this is such a heartbreaking story. This is a girl whom the system appears to have abandoned. What happened to this former Pearl Cone High School student is now the focus of a class action lawsuit filed against Metro Schools. Do you feel like the school system cheated you?
Yes, I do.
Look at 18-year-old Toni Jones and you'll see what may be the face of the problem inside some Metro schools. In 2013, Toni entered her freshman year at Pearl Cone, the same year that the school was trying to boost its test scores high enough to avoid a state takeover.
When you see people talk good about Pearl, you see people looking out from the outside. These are not the people that's there on a day-to-day basis seeing what we see.
Toni's biggest struggle was Algebra 1, which just so happened to be one of those subjects with a mandatory end-of-course exam that's also used to judge how well the school is performing.
I have never, since I have been in school, I have never understood math. Like, I used to tell my mom all the time, math is just not my best subject. I don't understand it.
Still, thanks to the help of her teacher, Toni managed to pass the first semester, and halfway through the spring semester, she was still passing.
Then it's like second semester, when I was, getting the hang of it and I started doing better, I was pulled out of that class.
You were pulled out of the class?
Yes.
An assistant principal who had pulled Toni from the class took her to a room filled with computers.
He took me to one of the computer labs and he was like, "This is your class from now on."
Did he say why?
No, he never gave me a reason. Never gave me a reason, never explained to me why he did that.
What school officials did not tell Toni was that on a series of practice tests designed to predict how well students will perform on the end-of-course exams, she had scored at the lowest level, which did not surprise Toni.
Letting it be a practice test, it's a lot of students at Pearl Cone or any school that never took their testing, their practice test serious. Just for the simple fact it's a practice test.
Inside the computer lab, Toni was enrolled in a credit recovery program called A+, and told to learn algebra as best she could.
It's just basically they give you the classes and you have to do them.
On your own?
On your own.
And you didn't have an algebra teacher sitting there with you?
All the teachers we had were either substitutes or filling in for somebody. We never had a teacher that specifically worked at Pearl to help us.
Inside those algebraic equations, without the help of a teacher, Toni got lost.
Sooner or later, after that, I just gave up. I stopped caring about my math grade. So I was like, oh, okay. I just didn't care anymore.
But for the school, that move to the computer lab meant Toni would not take the end-of-course exam, and her scores would not count against the schools. Why would they do that?
The only reason is because they want their scores to go up.
Former Pearl Cone guidance counselor Kelly Brown told us the order to pull students came directly from the school's principal.
If you look at what they've done, can you find anybody at all that would say, I think that's a good idea. I think that was beneficial for the student.
My next year, I was automatically put in geometry. And I was like, whoa.
You had not even passed algebra yet.
And I was like, I didn't even pass algebra, so how am I even in geometry?
Lost in the complications of geometry, Toni continued to spiral downward.
It would be times where I didn't even show up to the class just because I knew I'm not going to pass this class, so why am I coming? So I just stopped coming.
Now Toni's enrolled in an adult program, still trying to get her diploma on a computer on her own. What would you want the school system to know about what they did to you?
I would want them to know simply it wasn't right, because now I have to sit and I have all these things to make up that I don't know.
It's not clear how many other Tonis are out there. Kelly Brown said there would have been a lot more at Pearl in 2014, except that one counselor forgot to pull the students assigned to her. In fact, we have an email where higher-ups in the central office were told that at least 4 students were pulled, and it notes that a guidance counselor forgot to pull more, which confirms exactly what Kelly Brown told us.
This is so very sad, and how brave of Toni for speaking out.
Absolutely.
So what is the school system saying about this?
Well, at this point, absolutely nothing. They have not responded to our questions we submitted almost a week ago about Toni's situation or about the lawsuit. But it's a situation not just confined to Pearl. Tomorrow night at 6, you'll hear from another teacher from another school who says it's been going on there for years.
Something has got to change. Thank you, Phil.